Hey everyone, it's Lena. I wanted to come on here and kind of talk to you guys about what's been going on with Patrick and just kind of give you a background. Um, Patrick has been quite the sick little man. It all started back in May, where he had a couple of days with fever, no other symptoms, but was spiking these fevers really high, like around 104. And so we decided to take him into the pediatrician's office, and they ran a strep culture. They did chest X-rays. They listened to his chest and looked in his ears, and nothing came back. They decided to do blood work, which of course showed an elevated white blood cell count. So he was fighting off some kind of infection. We just didn't know what it was. And while we were at the office, his temp was like 103, 104, and it would not come down with any type of pain fever reducer. So Motrin wasn't helping, Tylenol wasn't helping, and so we ended up giving him a dose of Rocephin, which is a type of antibiotic through shot form. And of course, finally, after that shot, we had to stay there for like an hour to make sure he had no reactions. And so he didn't, and his fever ended up coming down, and then it broke completely in 36 hours. Like, had no other symptoms, wasn't, diagnosed with any ear infection or pneumonia or nothing. And that's about the time we went back where we were getting ready to go on vacation for that 5 weeks. And we come back, and the week we come back, he spikes another fever. And again, it's like around 103, 104. So we weren't messing around. We went ahead and scheduled him to visit his pediatrician, and he was diagnosed with a double ear infection. It was pretty bad. And so they put him another round of Rocephin and then a Z-Pack for 4 days. Now he has an allergy to amoxicillin and penicillin, so that's not an option for us. So that helped, and fever broke within the next day. He was fine. Finished out the Z-Pack. Of course, my kids are always on probiotics, so he really never had he had maybe a couple days of diarrhea from the meds, but nothing too bad because we put him on probiotics like every day. So fast forward 2 weeks, and spikes another fever. And so this was a week and a half before July 22nd. So I don't know, the middle of July. So turns out his Z-Pack helped the 10 days after his initial infection, and it just rehashed, just came about. And so he was given no oral antibiotics, but 3 days of Rocephin. So he had one injection in both legs. We went in that Monday, Tuesday, or was it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? I don't remember. But he did 3 rounds of Rocephin and no oral antibiotics. My pediatrician said, well, next week at his baby well, because we were kind of about a month late on his 15-month baby well. So when you come in the next week, if his ears look any bit pink, we're going to send you to ENT. Which surgery freaks me out. I mean, granted, tubes is an easy procedure, but it's still anesthesia. It's still surgery. And I don't know. It just freaks me out. So I've been doing a lot of research on trying to help prevent tubes, because I was so nervous at his baby well that his ears would be red and we'd be sent to ENT, which at his baby well check, they were fine. So anyway, the research I was doing is every time I looked at something, people were talking about chiropractors and how chiropractors can kind of help do adjustments that kind of help with ear infections. In fact, they help with a lot of things. It helps with bedwetters. It can help with allergies, asthma, ear infections. Because what the chiropractor was telling us was that, like, your brain, of course, sends its signals throughout the spine and the rest of the body. And if there's because you have these nerves that come out from the spine, if there's a bone or something that's kind of not in line with it, that message isn't getting to the right place. For instance, on William, he's having a rough time at night. Like he was fine. He was night trained up until Patrick came along. And then we've done everything to not get this kid to pee at night. But he is still wearing a pull-up, and he just turned 4 in May. So we were thinking maybe that would help. And plus, he's asthmatic and he has allergies. So when he did his initial assessment on William, he needed to be adjusted in his pelvic region, which could explain the night wedding, as well as his constipation issues he's been having, because we are on Miralax now with him because he's just not pooping. And he needs to be, and then he was kind of off like in his neck area right here. And the chiropractor kind of showed it on me, and he's like, wow, you're really tense. And both the boys actually have the same area of like that needs to be adjusted. And then like with Patrick, he can notice up here near his neck too, which, the message to his ears to kind of, signal, drainage and stuff. And so he adjusted Patrick. Granted, Patrick, has white coat syndrome. He has, because we've been to the doctor a lot in the past, 2 months. So he kind of settled down after a while, and it was only just a couple places where he was adjusted. But yeah, so we tried that, and William was adjusted. William loved it. Like, he took a 2-hour nap afterwards, which is completely unheard of with him. Anyway, so then fast forward to today, he got adjusted yesterday. He wakes up with a fever of 104, and he has just been playing with this right ear. Now, it's not really tugging. It's like he's back here. And when I talked to the chiropractor about that yesterday, he's probably like, well, he probably has a lot of pressure back there from all that fluid and stuff. So, of course, we ended up taking him to Children's, and he has a pretty significant ear infection. And I don't know. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, because I honestly think tubes is going to be probably the best decision for him. Even though, even if we get him adjusted once a week, even the chiropractor's like, with a kid with this many ear infections, he probably is something that, it's going to take a while. If not, it may not even help. It may help eventually, but we'd have to go once a week, every week, for a while. And I just don't think he has that amount of time. And the reason being, my kids, he was talking about, with them both being a C-section baby, with doctors, they have to deliver that head out of, because the incision is like this. Granted, the vagina is it stretches wider, and it's about the same. But, when babies are positioned weird in the womb, the doctors have to tug these heads to get them out. And so sometimes it just messes up, their spine. And so that's kind of probably why we're seeing a little bit of issues with both the kids. But like I said, going back to the tubes in Patrick's ears, he has been miserable really for the past 4 weeks. He's had 3 ear infections, and he was breastfed until almost 10 months, until my milk supply just dwindled down from having 2 postpartum cycles. So I breastfed him a lot longer than I did William, and I don't know, he just seems like he's always sick all the time. So anyway, with the diagnosis this morning, he was placed on a really strong antibiotic, and that's another thing too. I don't like giving my kids antibiotics unless it's absolutely necessary. But when he is absolutely miserable and has fevers, and the fact that they said if we don't treat his ear infection, granted it may most of the time it's bacterial, but part of the time it can be viral too. But if it is viral, they still want to treat it like it's bacterial, because of the fact that when you have an infection in the ear, what's on the other side of the ear is the brain, and so they worry about meningitis. And so that's the only reason being. But I just can't keep giving my kids antibiotics, Motrin and Tylenol all the time because of ear infections. And so I honestly think that's going to be our next step with him. And so yeah, I just wanted to come on here and to see if you guys can give me some advice. If any of you have experienced tubes with, your kids, I would really love your feedback. What's it like? Is it traumatic on them? With the anesthesia, how do they come out of anesthesia? Are they a pretty normal kid afterwards? How long does it, does it take to see the results? Stuff like that. So I would love some feedback on it. And honestly, too, if you are anti-tubes and do go with the chiropractor route, I would love your input on that too. With kids that have had, frequent ear infections, have you seen improvement with ear infections by getting adjusted? How many times do your kids get adjusted a month? Why you chose chiropractic care as the best route for your family instead of surgery, vice versa. I'm kind of reaching out to you guys to kind of help me, because I really would love this, chiropractic care to help him, but I honestly don't think we have enough time. Just because, like I said, he's miserable and he's actually upstairs napping just because the past 2 nights have been, he just hasn't been sleeping. And so I just feel bad for him. And yeah, so your advice and feedback is greatly appreciated. So if you guys can help me out, that would be fabulous. And like I stated, we're still going to go ahead with chiropractic care with William to help him. And I will keep you guys posted on that. And with Patrick, like I said, I'm on the fence. I think tubes is the way to go right now, but part of me is surgery is flashing in my head, and I don't know, surgery scares me. So anyway, sorry I've been rambling and everything else, but I just wanted to come on here, guys, and give you guys just a quick update on that, and hopefully get some feedback. So hopefully you guys are having a wonderful weekend, and I will check back with you guys on Monday. I will be 5 weeks and 1 day pregnant. I have an ultrasound scheduled at 8 a.m. So hopefully I come back with good news that we see at least a gestational sac, and then I'll just do my normal 5-week vlog for you guys. So anyway, happy Saturday to you guys. I'll talk to you Monday.